Well, hello, folks out there on YouTube. Bland got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, the NCAA is in big trouble, and I do believe they realize it. It's only a matter of time for them, honestly. They're not going to win this case. They know it. The judge pretty much came out and told them that. But we're going to get into this. Now, there's going to be some in the media that will make you think, oh, Tennessee lost yesterday. They didn't get their temporary restraining order. We'll talk all about that, too. You know, you can lose a skirmish or a battle and still win the war, especially when the judge tells you you're going to win. So let's get into this. Now, as many of you know, very little has happened over the last 2 years since the Supreme Court ruling in 2021, early that year, that NIL was allowed and that it was against the Sherman Act in an effort to stop it. So they ruled against the NCAA and it was 9-0. We talked about that quite a bit. So since then, the NCAA has been on its heels. They haven't really known what to do. They didn't really want to step in it, so they've kind of let NIL happen. That's the Wild West that people talk about. But they didn't really know what to do. So Charlie Baker comes in, and he's going to oversee a new NCAA that's going to get tough on everybody.
A new power is rising. Its victory is at hand.
Yeah, it kind of looked like that. That's sort of how I took it. And he went after FSU, gave them some ridiculous 2-year show cause for one of their coaches over driving a kid to an NIL meeting, which is absurd. The guy was in the transfer portal. But anyway, they wanted to kind of push their weight around a little bit. And then they got their sights set on Tennessee. And they thought, they took it from us last time. I'll bet they'll lay down again and we can make an example out of them, really nail them good, and then everybody will fear us again. Little did they know that Tennessee was going to respond like this.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
Absolutely. We came at them with everything. And I can go ahead and tell you, this is not going to end in a settlement. We're not going to drop the case. We're not going to do any of those things. We're going to push this to the nth until the NCAA is in powder or dust. One or the other is fine with us. Hey, you wanted this. We warned you early on. We warned you.
It's your last chance to walk away. Remember, you wanted this.
Well, you wanted this, and you got it. Now, let's get into what the judge said. First of all, he did deny the temporary restraining order. And it's funny what he said. He said that if there are damages, that the players, or I guess the teams, could come back and sue the NCAA for monetary damages civilly. So I almost feel like he did them a disservice right there. Maybe he should have given them the TRO. That way they can't get sued. Now they're set up to lose a ton of money in a lawsuit. So I almost feel like he may not like the NCAA. It's hard to say. But let's get into the most important thing that he said, which was right here. And I went ahead and printed out the opinion in the order, and I've gone through it. And on page 9, and by the way, thank you to Mitt Winter who put this out for everybody to see. I just like print stuff. I guess I'm old school. I like to sometimes just have a paper in my hand. But anyway, if you go to page 9, you'll see right here, it says, for instance, the rules require student athletes to maintain progress, etc. But as you go down through here, it says, considering the evidence currently before the court, plaintiffs, which would be Tennessee and Virginia, are likely to succeed on the merits of their claim under the Sherman Act. So that's huge. Basically, he's kind of pulled the NCAA over and said, hey, stupid, come over here for a second. Let me tell you something. You're going to lose. You're going to lose real bad. You might want to figure something out. So he kind of did him a favor. I don't think he needed to call him stupid, but, you know, hey, look, he's just calling it like he sees it. But also, this is the part on the irreparable harm. The reason Tennessee and Virginia wanted it is they felt like irreparable harm would have to be put upon the players. But the judge said that those harms could be fully compensable by monetary damages. So yeah, there he's just saying, look, you can just sue them and get money. It's not irreparable. It is repairable. But that's why he didn't do the TRO, which I find kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm not sure the NCAA wouldn't have been better served had they gone ahead and granted it. But anyway, they're in all kinds of trouble, and they know it. Look, they already lost 9-0 in the Supreme Court. This will eventually get to that, and then they'll lose this, and that'll be the end of it. And they'll push it to the Supreme Court. The NCAA might as well. They're going to lose this case. It'll go to the appellate court. They'll lose there. Then it'll go to Supreme Court. Supreme Court can't wait. Brett Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court cannot wait. And how I know he can't wait, This was in USA Today back in June of 2021. Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh rips NCAA an antitrust ruling, says it's not above the law. And he blistered them right here. He said, nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers a fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying their workers a fair market rate. Kavanaugh wrote, and under ordinary principles of antitrust law, it is not evident why college sports should be any different. The NCAA is not above the law. He also said that they cannot disguise the reality. The NCAA business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America. So, yeah, they're just sitting up there waiting for the next case to come that's a little bit more full rather than just name, image, and likeness, and they're going to blow this thing out of the water. And that'll be the end of any NIL talk or whatever. And you'll get into a pure pay-for-play situation to where kids can sell their services just like everybody else does. When you go out and get a job, what do? You say, this is what I can do. What's it worth to you? And you might get an offer from this business. You might get one from there. You're going to pick what you want. Well, that's what these kids should be able to do. They should be able to say, look, I'm a quarterback and I'm really good. I'm a 5-star. What you got for me? Because that's what's happening right now. If you don't think that's what's happening right now, you're not looking at reality. They're not sitting there going, oh, well, let me go ahead and enroll, which is what the NCAA wants you to do. Then find out if there's any name, image, and likeness situations for you. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. If you're a 5-star and you're doing that, you're a moron. You have got really bad advice. There's no way parents, guardians, and or advisors are going, oh, yeah, go ahead and enroll and then find out if they got something for you. No. Here's what they're doing. They're saying, well, Ohio State offered this, Georgia offered this, Tennessee offered that, Texas offered that, and Texas is offering the most, so maybe we ought to go there. That's how this is playing out. And that's what every team is doing. And if you're saying you're doing something different, you're full of it. That's just a fact. That's the way this is being played out. Otherwise, you're going to get 0 5-stars. So, look, I'm just telling you how it is. Tennessee's Attorney General, Skrmetti, he came out and made a little statement. He said, in today's opinion, a federal judge said Tennessee and Virginia are likely to prevail in their antitrust suit against the NCAA. Although the court declined to issue a TRO, the judge reasoned the NCAA can be held monetarily liable for any harms, thus negating the need for a TRO. And then he goes on and says, we look forward to litigating the case. So, yeah, he's just set them up for a lawsuit. So any players out there that feel like they're not getting their full value can now sue the NCAA. Certainly after this case they can. And this is on 3 by Andrew Graham. And he says why the NCAA's win over Tennessee and Virginia's AGs in court is small and likely short-lived. Said it talks about how they denied the request to Tennessee. Said this ostensible win for the NCAA as the entity looks to pursue an NIL-related infractions case against Tennessee. May not be so when it's all said and done, though. And it talks about Andy Staples. He's really been on top of this as well. And he says, basically, anybody who might be harmed by these rules, whether it's players who are having their market value suppressed by not being able to discuss NIL value with multiple schools before they sign. And he says, the judge says, listen, those guys may lose some money, but they can sue and get it back, Staples said. Which, again, even when the NCAA wins, it loses. But here the judge is saying, I'm not granting this TRO because no one can be irreparably harmed right now because they can just sue the NCAA and get the money later. I'm telling you, the hits keep coming for the NCAA in this thing. I couldn't agree more. And he says, but right now, I just don't know how the NCAA has a lot of optimism here. He said, because, again, the judge said, and I quote, the plaintiffs are likely to succeed on the merits of their claim under the Sherman Act. Translation. Ultimately, these rules against NIL payments to recruits or talking about NIL value with recruits are going to be declared illegal because it's price fixing. It's exactly what it is, so tiny victory for the NCAA, possible massive loss coming up. Now, I will tell you, Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, the university, etc., we're not going to just drop the case or have some little stupid settlement. That's not going to happen. We're not letting this go. And the NCAA can't drop the case. And they're going to continue their crap. They'll eventually send their NOA, which is notice of accusations and all that crap, which is fine. Let them do their worst. It's not going to matter in the end anyway. But what I did do, and I've told you this, several days ago, but I have met with Donde Plowman, Danny White, Skrmetti, and the attorneys involved, and I have put together an offer sheet that I think the NCAA should consider. So they have approved it, and I'll actually show you what the offer is that we've made available to them, but there is a time frame. They've got to let us know within 30 days. But here's the offer that we've made to the NCAA.
Before we let you leave, your commando must cross that field, present himself before this army, put his head between his legs, and kiss his own arse.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly reasonable. If they'll just do that, I think we can let this go. Short of that, I'm not really, we just need to take this all the way to the Supreme Court and just finish them and just pound them into fine dirt, or dust is okay. Either one is acceptable to me. Look, this is what they wanted. This is what they came for. Fine. We're just going to give it to them. What's wrong with that? If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big stories, of course, my Vols, the SEC, etc. If you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Hit this little button. I'd appreciate it. Costs you nothing. Helps me out. And right over here's the most recent video, YouTube. Thanks, you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.